In some shocking news, former WWE champion Jinder Mahal and multiple other talent have been released by WWE. This, according to both PW Insider and Fightful, as well as the talent themselves, some of whom have reacted to this news. We're going to tell you exactly what we know about these situations so far, what the talent who were released had to say, how they reacted, and so much more about this developing situation. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates. All right, so let's talk about it. Jinder Mahal, Xia Li, and Quinn all have been released from WWE. The news kind of trickled in right towards the end of WWE Friday Night SmackDown tonight, which was an interesting time for the news to break. Usually WWE likes to hide these things, over a weekend or potentially over, the course of a day in between Raw and SmackDown. However, today we saw them do it, or at least we saw the news trickle out right as SmackDown was going off the air. So naturally, many people are talking about this news. And, people are going to say that these are individuals that WWE were not using. People are going to say so many things to try to mitigate this. But at the end of the day, we need to keep one thing in mind, and one thing that is very, very true in mind. That is that regardless of how successful or lack thereof that you perceive these people are, these are still people who lost their jobs today, and it's no laughing matter. It's no time to look at things and say, oh my God, this person failed because they were talentless or whatever. Like that sort of analysis is not really, I think, productive. However, the reason that this is newsworthy, and I think we will get into talking about, others as well, but the reason this is newsworthy the most is because of Jinder Mahal, if we're being honest. This is a former WWE champion. This is someone who WWE at one point felt comfortable enough, felt strongly enough about, or his ability to at least draw in India about, that they felt like this was someone that they wanted to put the most important title in WWE history on, and they did. Jinder Mahal became the first ever Punjabi champion in WWE history. And from a personal note, that meant a lot for me. I am from Pakistan, but I am still from Punjab, and that to me meant so much. Seeing someone who, literally represented the culture or a similar culture to where I'm from, it mattered a lot, at least in wrestling. I think in wrestling, those things matter a lot more than if people try to troll it out in other ways. But regardless of that, this is interesting news, especially when you consider the fact that Jinder Mahal was someone who was used pretty recently back in January in a high-profile way. And it was almost inadvertently even more high profile because Tony Khan kind of signal boosted it a bit inadvertently again when he got into that little Twitter beef about Jinder Mahal and all that kind of stuff. And he was fighting for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He obviously came up short in that match against Seth Rollins. However, ever since then, he's not been seen. He did a segment with The Rock. That didn't do too much for him. But we're here at a point where someone that many people believed was really only given the WWE Championship as, a marketing ploy or a way to kind of break through the Indian market, which most businesses in general are still to this day having trouble doing. Most large-scale entertainment businesses are having trouble doing. Like the Indian market, people talk about the amount of people. It's very lucrative. But, they don't talk about the intricacies of actually doing it, reaching that market, engaging that market. And that is one place that multiple businesses internationally have failed at doing, engaging the Indian market. Now, they obviously were not able to do that with the Jinder stuff. That tour basically got canceled. It was supposed to be multiple shows, ended up being one show that drew a couple of thousand people. They did the main event, Jinder Mahal versus Triple H. And it was a fun thing for the people who were there, but when you think about, the buildup and everything that led up to it, to call it a coming up short, it would be an understatement. Like, it just didn't work. And it's unfortunate because it's simultaneously probably the best thing to ever it is the best thing to happen in Jinder Mahal's career, because no matter what, there are going to be people who always look at him as a joke. No matter what, there's always going to be those people. But every time he's on WWE TV, there is and will always remain that shred of credibility for everyone, even if they don't admit it. When he held that belt, it immediately, it already had so much weight behind it that it added to his credibility. And, usually you want a champion that helps make the belt more so than the belt makes the champion. This was a clear case of the champion helping make the championship helping make the champion. And I don't think there will ever be a more clear case of that with Jinder Mahal. He is, I want to say this, he's good in the ring. He can have good matches. And I think he's got some of the most underrated facial expressions in all of professional wrestling. So shout out to Jinder Mahal. Hopefully we see him somewhere soon. I think people are going to be booking him. And if you look at Jinder, and how he reacted, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, I think it's needless to say he is not done with professional wrestling, not by a long shot. Anyway, we move on. We also had Xia Li, who was let go, along with Quinn. Now, Quinn has not been used too much on the main roster ever since he came up last year. His latest match, I believe, was I think it was a squash match against Braun Breaker. Xia Li has been kind of used in and out. Certainly, she was prominent in NXT for a while, and very prominent on that show for a while. So in that way, I think this is a surprise because, it's noted that Xia Li was WWE's first ever Chinese superstar. She was WWE's first ever Chinese superstar. And I'm not going to compare it to the Jinder thing completely, but, again, I think, I think she was very talented. She, in the ring, was, I think, a very good wrestler. I don't think that the character stuff connected as much as it should have, and I put that blame on booking. I put that blame on the people who are writing the promos and things like that. I think Xia Li has a bright future ahead of her in pro wrestling, and I don't think that she is done either. Quinn is an interesting one because I believe he came from the rugby world. So, he was one of those signings, I think, back in 2018. This is when WWE really first started to, reach out to recruit people from other sports, and they were bringing them in. And, he was someone who was there in NXT for a very long time. I think he was there for nearly 5 years. And when you're in NXT for 5+ years, sometimes you get pegged with being an NXT developmental guy. But he was able to make it up to the main roster, and I think a large part of that is because he was a good hand, and he picked things up in wrestling. Was he a great wrestler? Is he going to have that technical masterpiece? No, but I think, he was able to work, he was able to do things, and he's someone who, again, I wouldn't be surprised seeing at some point pop up. All right, moving on, we also have to talk about the reaction from the talent. So both Jinder Mahal and Xia Li have reacted to the news of their release, and you can see the news on the screen right now. Both Jinder Mahal and Xia Li noted on Twitter. Jinder Mahal very blatantly just said, "I quit, Maharaja out," $sign emoji. He also changed his bio to read free agent, 90 days, fire emoji. So he is ready to go, I think, as soon as his 90 days are up. And these are 90-day non-competes, according to the report from FightfulSelect.com. Going back to Xia Li, thank you, WWE. Thank you, Triple H. Thank you, WWE Universe. She also attached a statement that we will read right now. "It has been over 7 years since I joined WWE. And as the first female Chinese superstar, I feel incredibly proud. I am sincerely grateful to WWE and Triple H for welcoming me into this big family. During this valuable time, I have not only grown tremendously, but also learned countless invaluable experiences. Thank you for the trust and opportunities you have given me to break barriers and set an example. A special thank you to all the coaches, colleagues, and staff who have helped me along, the way. Your support and assistance have made me feel at home in a foreign land. I also want to thank all of the WWE fans. Your cheers not only motivate me, but also make me feel endless love and support. Your backing is my strength. This journey with WWE has been wonderful, and I sincerely thank everyone who has been a part of it. This is not the end, but a new beginning. Let's embrace more exciting moments together. That was Xia Li reacting to the news of her release, Jinder Mahal as well. Obviously, there are a lot of gratitude on Xia Li's part. It was a wonderful and a beautiful statement. I mean, say what you want about, the talent, and people are going to say whatever they want. That is someone who genuinely, I think was reflective of her experience and her time in WWE and what it meant. In the same way I discussed personally, Jinder Mahal was made me feel a little bit better watching wrestling, or I resonated and connected with that in a way others probably did not. I assure you there were people who connected with Xia Li in a way that many other people wouldn't. And that is a beautiful thing about entertainment, that you can have those connections. So, again, unfortunate to see that. Jinder, on the other hand, I think has taken an approach where I think he is going to be doing indies. Jinder Mahal, say what you want about him. This is someone who has shown time and time again he wants to be in that ring. Whenever he can be on the mic, whenever he can be in the ring, he wants to be there. I would expect him to pop around on the indies. And when the time, or if the time ever is right, former WWE champion Jinder Mahal showing up in AEW after all of the hullabaloo, hoopla, and hootenanny on X a few months ago, that would be a sight to behold. Tony Khan giving Jinder a little hug. Would be interesting, wouldn't it? Guys, let me know what you guys think about this news. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And until next time, keep it real.